Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Israel keeps up Lebanon attacks, pounds Yemeni port city of Hodeidah as US President Joe Biden to talk to Netanyahu soon. Says all-out war in Middle East has to be avoided.
We've already taken precautions relative to our embassies and personnel who want to leave. But we're not there yet, but we're working like hell with the French and many others to see that we're good.
Another boost to Europe's far-right surge as Austria's Freedom Party celebrates unprecedented election victory. Party's leader Herbert Kickl calls it an opening of a new era. Japan incoming Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba hints on snap elections late October ahead of his swearing-in on Tuesday. Nikkei plunges over 4% as investors worry about Ishiba's support for higher interest rates. Rescuers struggle to reach the stranded after Hurricane Helene leaves around 100 dead and a huge trail of destruction in its wake. President Biden to visit affected areas this week. In India, flood alert for 13 districts of northern state of Bihar after Nepal releases water from barrages. Torrential rains in Nepal leave 192 dead and 30 missing. Schools remain shut. A top story: Israel has launched airstrikes on Yemen targeting Houthi-controlled sites on Sunday. The targets included power plants and a seaport which were used by the Houthis to transfer Iranian weapons to the region in addition to military supplies and oil. Israel Defense Forces said the airstrikes on Yemen's port of Hodeidah were a response to Houthi missile attacks on Israel in recent days. Israel's military said it struck dozens of targets in Lebanon, including launchers and weapons stores that had intercepted 8 projectiles coming from the direction of Lebanon and 1 from the Red Sea. The strikes took place as Israel attacked more targets in Lebanon, where its intensifying bombardment over 2 weeks has killed a string of top Hezbollah leaders. Israel's military chief of staff, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, said the military will continue fighting Hezbollah to remove the threat that it poses to Israeli civilians. Lieutenant General Halevi, in a video statement, said that Lebanon's armed group Hezbollah had lost weapons, operatives and its leader in Israeli strikes, and that Israel needs to keep hitting it hard. He said the IDF will not allow the Hezbollah threat to remain. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has said that he would speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as tensions in the West Asia increase following Israel's assassination of Hezbollah chief Nasrallah. Talking to reporters, Biden said he believes that an all-out conflict in the West Asia must be avoided.
We really have to avoid it. We've already taken precautions relative to our embassies and personnel who want to leave. But we're not there yet, but we're working like hell with the French and many others to see that we're good. Thank you.
And in a significant move, Gideon Saar, leader of the New Hope Party, on Sunday rejoined Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. The decision was announced by Saar and Netanyahu in a joint press conference. Saar, who has been one of Netanyahu's most vocal critics in the past few years, is due to serve as a minister without a portfolio and have a seat in the Prime Minister's security cabinet. By joining the government with his 4-seat party, Saar will give Netanyahu a solid majority of 68 in the 120-seat parliament.
I appreciate the fact that Gideon Saar accepted my request and agreed today to return to the government. This move contributes to the unity within us, also contributes to the unity against our enemies. During the discussions of the political and security cabinet, I was very impressed by Saar's broad vision and his ability to offer creative solutions to complicated problems. More than once, we have seen eye to eye the steps needed to be taken.
את המהלכים שיש לבצע.
Citizens of Israel, our beloved country, has been for nearly a year in a fierce war on several fronts. This is a historical test that we only have one way to deal with it, to have the upper hand.
ידנו על העליונה.
Meanwhile, White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby said the U.S. must be prepared for Iranian retaliation against Israel for strikes on Hezbollah. In an interview to a U.S. media house, Kirby told the U.S. is closely monitoring the situation in the Middle East. He said State Department does not feel a need for American evacuations from Israel and Lebanon so far. Kirby also urged family of hostages to remain hopeful. And Saudi Arabia expressed its unwavering support for the Lebanese people amidst ongoing regional tensions. In its official statement, the Saudi Foreign Ministry expressed its great concern at the conflict in Lebanon, calling for country's sovereignty and territorial integrity to be respected. The kingdom made its statement following Israel's killing of Hezbollah's chief Hassan Nasrallah, although it did not specifically name him. All right, let's go across to New Delhi. DD India's Amit Mukherjee is joining us live. He has more information on this. Amit, Israel launches massive airstrikes in Yemen, and Israel fighting on 4 fronts at the same time, Lebanon, Yemen, Syria and Gaza Strip. It is in fact getting intense.
Absolutely, Abhishek. As it appears that Israel at this point in time has got a multi-pronged strategy in place against all its attack, which has been happening for the past 1 year. In fact, on 7th October, it would be a year of Israel's fighting against all these forces, which was initiated by Hamas on 7th October, when Israelis were actually
All right, we'll try to get in touch with
the
DD
Israeli
India's.
territory.
Right, Amit, please go on. We can hear you now.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, Abhishek, the recent attack at the port of Hudida, Yemen's port of Hudida, was a response to the attack which the Houthis had launched on Ben Gurion airport when Netanyahu had arrived back from the US after attending the UN General Assembly meeting. And Israel has, as you said, made it in as many clear words that no matter where these targets are, any targets which are being used for any offensive action against Israel and its citizens, it will be kind of bombarded and targeted. So this is a part of that. In fact, early in the morning of Monday, Israel continued its airstrike, and this time, for the first time, it launched its airstrikes within the Beirut city. Earlier, they were targeting Hezbollah locations which were on the southern suburbs of Beirut. But this morning, again, the airstrikes which were mounted in Beirut, it was right in the capital city of Beirut, capital of Lebanon. And yes, and more Hezbollah has been eliminated as the reports are pouring in right now, Abhishek.
Right, Amit, also, we want to know from you, you think the killing of Nasrallah has transformed an already complex and deadly regional conflict?
Well, definitely, this is a major turning point as both US and Israel has been putting in. Like, if you look at the entire structure of Hezbollah right now, it is completely headless. The decision-making body, which was, of course, at the helm of everything, was Nasrallah. Along with that, a lot of his generals, you know, the second-in-commands have also been eliminated. At least 7 top leaders Hezbollah has been eliminated on the fight. At this point in time, Hezbollah is trying to put in their heads together to find a solution as to who's going to take the next command, who's going to lead, and who's going to give out the orders to Hezbollah right now. As of now, I mean, it's in a completely disarray. And although there are people like Hashim Safedia and Naeem Qasim's name, which are coming up for succession, because if you see that Hezbollah has also been making clear that it's not dependent on just one individual.
Yeah.
So it's an organization which was kind of started in 1992. Of course, the founder since then has been Nasrallah, but then again, they have been saying that it's just not dependent on one particular individual, and which is why we are seeing that all at this point in time, they are also looking out for a successor. But more than organizing itself I mean, it's also a matter of survival. I mean,
Right, Amit, also, I mean, talking about...
launching airstrikes,
Right, Amit, I was saying, I mean, White House also continues to call on Israel and Hezbollah to agree to a temporary ceasefire. And Biden administration has in fact tried to bring about a negotiated resolution. Now again, the US president is saying that he would speak with Benjamin Netanyahu. You think Biden will play a key role here?
Whole conflict at this point in time in the Middle East, US definitely has been from time to time making several pleas to both Hezbollah as well as Israel. But as far as Israel is concerned now, they have already made it clear that no time for half-baked measures and all.
All right, Amit, we'll leave it at that. Thank
And
you for your inputs. Right, moving on to our next story. Now, Russia launched several waves of drone attacks targeting Kiev early on Monday, with air defense units engaged in repelling the strikes for several hours, Ukraine's military reported. Air defense systems sprang into action, engaging the drones in a fierce effort to protect the capital. Ukraine's Air Force quickly issued warnings confirming that Russian forces were targeting key areas with drone attacks. Tensions escalated near the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant as management on Sunday reported a fresh Ukrainian attack on a nearby electricity substation, destroying a transformer. According to officials, a transformer at the Raduga substation in Enerhodar was destroyed by artillery fire. Smoke was seen rising from the site, but power to the town remained unaffected. The Zaporizhzhia station, Europe's largest with 6 reactors seized by Russian forces in 2022, has become a flashpoint, with both sides frequently trading accusations of attacks. This follows claims by Ukraine's foreign minister that Russia is planning winter attacks on nuclear facilities. The UN's nuclear watchdog has repeatedly urged both sides to avoid targeting their sensitive area, warning of potential catastrophe. And the United Arab Emirates said early on Monday the residence of its ambassador in Khartoum was attacked by a Sudanese military aircraft and condemned it as a heinous attack. The UAE's foreign ministry said in a statement that the attack on its ambassador's residence had caused extensive damage to the building. The Sudanese army has not immediately commented on the accusation. The Sudanese army has repeatedly accused the UAE of providing weapons and support to the paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan's 17-month-old war. The Gulf state denies the allegations. And Austria's far right topped national elections on Sunday, marking a historic victory. And this victory is only the latest in a string of far right election successes in Europe. Austria's far right Freedom Party leader Herbert Kickl celebrated an unprecedented election victory and said this victory has opened the door to a new era. Projected results gave Kickl's party 28.8%, more than 2 points ahead of two conservative People's Party on 26.3%, but far short of a majority. While the Freedom Party has served in coalition governments before, this is the first time it has won a national vote, as far-right parties across Europe have made gains. There was a high turnout of 78% as Austria's 6.3 million voters took part in an election dominated by the twin issues of migration and asylum, as well as the flagging economy and the war in Ukraine. And French far-right leader Marine Le Pen said she was delighted with the Freedom Party victory. She hailed what she called a groundswell that carries the defense of national interest, the safeguarding of identities, and the resurrection of sovereignties. Now, Japan's incoming new Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba plans to call a snap general election for late October. Ishiba won the leadership of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party on Friday and was expected to be sworn in as Prime Minister on Tuesday. As per media reports, Ishiba is finalizing plans to dissolve Parliament on October 9 ahead of general elections on October 27th. Former Defense Minister Ishiba replaced Fumio Kishida as leader of the LDP, which has governed Japan almost uninterrupted for decades. The unpopular Kishida resigned in the wake of a damaging party slush fund scandal which added to his unpopularity among voters angry at rising prices. Now, Japanese equities plunged on Monday on the back of concerns that incoming Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba will hike taxes in the world's fourth biggest economy. Japan's key Nikkei index fell over 4% after former Defense Minister Shigeru Ishiba was elected head of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. Ishiba, set to become Prime Minister on Tuesday, has said he supports the Bank of Japan raising interest rates, while investors are also worried he might raise taxes. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. We'll give you the latest updates on US presidential elections as Donald Trump increases his verbal attacks on Kamala Harris at a rally in Pennsylvania. NASA and SpaceX confirmed that SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule has arrived at the International Space Station. And Colombia's Inerida flower chosen as emblem of COP16 starting October 21st.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Elections now. At a rally in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump unleashed sharp criticism at his 2024 presidential rival, Vice President Kamala Harris, calling her stupid and said she should be prosecuted for her alleged failure to stop illegal migrants from entering the U.S. and committing crimes. Former President Donald Trump cites U.S. immigration and customs enforcement data claiming over 13,000 convicted migrant killers remained free, alleging Harris let them in. However, DHS officials later clarified that the data spans several decades and many of these migrants are in custody. Pennsylvania, a key battleground state in the upcoming election, has become central to Trump's campaign as both he and Harris vie for its critical electoral college votes. Trump's rally marks his fourth campaign stop in the state this month, underscoring its importance.
Already hundreds of people have been murdered because of her action at the border, and thousands more will follow in rapid succession. She should be impeached and prosecuted for her actions.
And in the United States, Hurricane Helene caused massive destruction in Florida. Cleanup and recovery efforts are underway on it hard-hit Horseshoe Beach, where some houses were reduced to rubble. The storm has killed at least 100 people, while it is feared still more bodies would be discovered. Power was out for millions as winds, rain and storm surge from Helene destroyed roads and bridges and caused catastrophic flooding from Florida to Virginia. Damage estimates range from $15 billion to more than $100 billion, insurers and forecasters said over the weekend. And US President Joe Biden called the impact of Hurricane Helene as tragic and noted that FEMA teams were already on the ground in Florida. Biden drew attention to the disparity in damage assessments between local authorities and federal agencies and described the devastation as stunning. He assured that the federal government had deployed significant resources in advance, even beyond what had been requested.
Yes, it's tragic. Matter of fact, we're trying to get the exact number. My FEMA advisor is on the ground in Florida right now. There's a distinction between the numbers that FEMA's used and the ones that are used by the locals. So it really is amazing. You saw the photographs. It's stunning.
And North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper announced 11 of the deaths were in his state and more casualties were expected. Cooper said that the conditions remain challenging with flooding and washed out roads, but supplies were being airlifted to affected areas.
Our prayers and condolences go out to those families in this terrible time. Even as the rain and the winds have subsided, the challenge for people there increases. People are desperate for help, and we are pushing to get it to them, a massive effort. Many people are cut off because roads are impassable. They don't have power or communications. Please know that we are sending resources and coordinating closely with local governments, first responders, state and federal partners, and volunteer organizations to help those impacted by this tragic storm.
And the residents in southwestern Mexico on Saturday evacuated from homes flooded by the remnants of Hurricane John that ravaged the Pacific coastline for a week, bringing deadly floods and landslides that left 16 people dead. John rapidly strengthened into a major hurricane on Monday before tearing into Guerrero. It dissipated, then reformed offshore and for the rest of the week skimmed the coastline north, bringing torrential rain and floods. John began dissipating on Friday and is no longer considered an active storm. Meteorologists say warmer ocean temperatures are giving more fuel to hurricanes, allowing them to become stronger, faster, and leaving coastal communities less time to brace for their blow. At least 192 people are dead and 30 missing as persistent downpours trigger flooding and landslides in Nepal, closing major roads and disrupting domestic air travel. Some parts of the capital reported rain of up to 322.2 mm, pushing the level of its main Bagmati River past the danger mark. Weather officials blame the rainstorms on a low-pressure system in the Bay of Bengal, extending over parts of neighboring India close to Nepal. The impact of the rains was aggravated by poor drainage due to unplanned settlement and urbanization efforts, construction of floodplains, lack of areas for water retention, and encroachment on the Bagmati River. All right, let's go across to Kathmandu in Nepal, where DD India's Shweta Singh is joining us live. Shweta, the death toll from the floods and landslides caused by heavy rainfall in Nepal has increased, and floods have brought traffic and daily life to a halt. What is the current situation?
Actually, till now, death toll goes to 192. Though there has been no rain since yesterday morning, but the people already who were missing, they have not been found. Like 30 people are yet missing, and so like 64 were earlier missing yesterday morning. So now that missing lot have gone to a dead lot, becoming 192. Relief material has been provided to the people who have been rescued. Like 4,500 people have been rescued from landslide and flood situation, and they have been provided relief material, food. But actually, I would say because weather is fine now, you see in the background, we have cloud, but it's not going to rain perhaps, assuming that, because a little bit more of rain, flood situation will aggravate again. So,
Shweta, you said that there has been no rain since yesterday, but what is the forecast in the next 2-3 days? And also tell us more about the rescue operations too, and till when the current situation is likely to persist.
Department of Hydrology and Meteorology have had forecasted that till today, Monday afternoon, there would be rain. But it was, I think, prayers of people and wishes of many that rain didn't happen and flood situation didn't aggravate. But already that 3 days of incessant rain that caused such a havoc, it was like so many people lost life, more than 4,500 people were displaced. They had to be rehabilitated. So you see, Nepal Army and Armed Nepal Police Force are really working regular 24/7 to provide relief material to the people who have been affected by flood. So they have been taken to higher land. They have been provided relief material. and they are working, because yesterday night I remember at 10 o'clock I saw several trucks with Nepal army crossing the road, and they were in that grave situation. They were trying to pull up, the singing songs. So I felt like in such a grime situation, people are trying to help each other, be normal, in a sane mind. So it was really tough for last 3 days. I definitely I can say that.
All right, Shweta, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the latest from Kathmandu. Meanwhile, a flood alert has been sounded in 13 districts of Indian state of Bihar, situated along the swollen Kosi, Gandak and Ganga rivers. Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai held a meeting with NDRF on flood situations in Patna on September 29th. In Araria district, houses and railway tracks were inundated due to a flood-like situation, and several train operations were affected. Farmers in North Bihar are also affected by the unexpected late-season floods. The India Met Department predicted heavy rain and warned of flash flood risk in parts of the state. Now, NASA and SpaceX have confirmed that SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule has arrived at the International Space Station to bring home stranded astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams next year. The two astronauts, originally set to return on Boeing Starliner capsule, have been stuck on the ISS since June after their spacecraft suffered thruster failures and helium leaks, rendering it unsafe for re-entry. NASA deemed it too risky for their return, sending the Starliner back to Earth unmanned. Now, Wilmore and Williams, along with two new astronauts, Nikkei and Alexander Gorbanov, will return on Crew Dragon in February, turning their originally planned 8-day mission into an unexpected 8-month stay. SpaceX launched a rescue mission on Saturday to retrieve two astronauts. A hazardous fire erupted at a chemical plant in Conyers, Georgia on Sunday, sending a massive plume of dark smoke into the sky and prompting immediate evacuations and road closures. The blaze broke out at Biolab on Old Comington Highway and was initially brought under control, but it reignited later in the morning, according to reports from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Rockdale County Fire Chief Marion McDaniel revealed that a malfunctioning sprinkler had allowed the fire to reignite, complicating efforts to fully contain the situation. The fire has raised concerns for nearby residents as authorities work to manage the aftermath. Emergency teams remain on high alert to prevent further escalation. And one of the most influential American singer-songwriter of his time, Kris Kristofferson, died on Saturday at the age of 88. Kristofferson first established himself in the music world as a songwriter in the country music capital of Nashville, writing hits such as the Grammy-winning Help Me Make It Through the Night, For the Good Times, and one-time girlfriend Janis Joplin's plaintive #1 hit, Me and Bobby McGee. Later on, he became a successful actor as well. Kristofferson had been suffering from memory loss since he was in his 70s. Born in Brownsville, Texas on June 22, 1936, Kristofferson was a Renaissance man, an athlete with a poet's sensibilities, a former army officer and helicopter pilot, a Rhodes Scholar who took a job as a janitor at the Columbia Record Studio. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Colombia's rare and pointy Inerida flower has been chosen as the emblem of COP16 UN Biodiversity Conference to be held in Cali from October 21st to November 1st. 33-year-old chef Renars Permalis won 2024 World Oyster Opening Championship in Galway, Ireland, an annual test of the skill known as shucking is judged in the contest. It is the world's longest running oyster festival, held in Irish City since 1954. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. In a bid to solidify the long-standing bonds between Jamaica and India, Prime Minister of Jamaica will pay an official visit to India from 30th September to 3rd October. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir all geared up for the final phase of voting for assembly elections scheduled for October 1st. And Air Marshal Amarpreet Singh to be new Indian Air Force Chief. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek. Recap of what we have done so far. Israel keeps up Lebanon attacks, pounds Yemeni port city of Hodeidah as US President Joe Biden to talk to Netanyahu soon, says all-out war in Middle East has to be avoided. Another boost to Europe's far-right surge as Austria's Freedom Party celebrates unprecedented election victory. Party's leader Herbert Kickl calls it an opening of a new era. Japan incoming Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba hints on snap elections late October ahead of his swearing-in on Tuesday. Nikkei plunges over 4% as investors worry about Ishiba's support for higher interest rates. Rescuers struggle to reach the stranded after Hurricane Helene leaves around 100 dead and a huge trail of destruction in its wake. President Biden to visit affected areas this week. And in India, flood alert for 13 districts of northern state of Bihar after Nepal releases water from barrages. Torrential rains in Nepal leave 192 dead and 30 missing. Schools remain shut. And with an aim to bolster bilateral relations, enhance economic cooperation and strengthen long-standing ties between Jamaica and India, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness, will pay an official visit to India from 30th September to October 3rd. This will be his first visit to India and also be the first ever bilateral visit of a Prime Minister of Jamaica to India. During the visit, Prime Minister Holness will hold delegation-level talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and call on President and Vice President of India. A number of MOUs are expected to be signed during the visit, giving a fillip to bilateral cooperation. India and Jamaica share strong historical and cultural linkages reflected in their shared colonial past, values of democracy and freedom, and passion for cricket. And the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir all gear up for the third and final phase of voting for assembly elections scheduled for October 1st. Voting for the third and final phase covering 40 assembly segments across 7 districts, Jammu, Udhampur, Samba and Kathua in the Jammu region and Baramulla, Bandipora and Kupwara in North Kashmir to be held on Tuesday. The electoral fate of 415 candidates are in stake for this phase of voting. The voter turnout was robust in the earlier phases with 61.38% participation recorded in the first phase on September 18 and 57.31% in the second phase on September 26. The results set to be announced on October 8. All right, we'll go across to Srinagar. DD India's Dibyendu Mondal is joining us live from there. Dibyendu, J&K all set for the third phase of the assembly elections. Tell us about the security arrangements. How's the buzz a day ahead of the last phase?
Well, good morning, Abhishek. That's right. Just a few, in fact, the last moment preparations are underway here to conduct the smooth, free and fair elections here in Jammu and Kashmir's last phase of election. There are about 40 seats that are going to polls in this particular phase, which the majority of which will be in Jammu region and certain seats in the North Kashmir region is going to polls in this particular phase of election. Remember, this is the first time assembly elections is being held in Jammu and Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370. So, of course, heavy security arrangements are being put in place by the Election Commission as well as the security apparatus here in Jammu and Kashmir. Multiple paramilitary forces have been mobilized and moved into different parts and different polling booths of this particular region where election is going to be held tomorrow. So, of course, the last minute preparations, the polling parties will be sent to their respective polling stations by this afternoon and latest by this evening. So, of course, polling parties will be, in fact, have already gathered to collect their polling materials in different parts of the city where the arrangements are being made for all the polling parties. So, of course, and moreover, Abhishek, the people of Jammu and Kashmir are excited to cast their vote in this particular, in fact, the last phase of election. 2 phases have already been done, and the last phase is going to be held tomorrow. People have already voted. They're excited to elect their new governments. Of course, security is being tightened in every polling booth that will go to polls tomorrow. So, of course, including the CRPF, the CISF, the army, the local police, all have been mobilized to different parts of the state. Remember, this is a hilly terrain. So, the polling parties were being moved over the last 2 to 3 days. We have witnessed some movement of these polling parties in different parts of North Kashmir, where the elections are going to be held tomorrow. Abhishek.
Debendu, also, counting will be held on October 8th, and the state has thrown hung verdicts in the last 3 polls, if you see. But the million-dollar question in everyone's mind is whether any party or alliance will cross the halfway mark, or will voters again give a fractured mandate?
Well, Abhishek, that's right. That's the question in every Kashmiri's mind here in Srinagar, as well as the different parts of North Kashmir where I have been traveling. Given the fact that in the last 2 elections we've seen a fragmented mandate, but even in this particular election, it seems that there could be a chance where the similar mandate comes out on the 8th of October when the counting is held. Given the fact that there are multiple parties that are contesting, but this time around the National Conference, which is the Omar Abdullah's and Farooq Abdullah's National Conference, is in alliance with the Congress as well as the CPIM and the smaller regional parties here in Jammu and Kashmir. So, of course, the NC clearly thinks that they are going to come to power, but the Jammu region will play a very crucial role where the BJP has an upper hand. So, what numbers do come up on the 8th is, of course, we'll have to wait till the results are out. But it is still not clear that who is going to form the government. The people are being having given their mandate in the last 2 phases and will be giving their mandate tomorrow. It is yet not certain that who could take the share of the largest share of the pie when it comes to the assembly seats here in Jammu and Kashmir. But of course, it's an interesting contest. There are multiple parties, one with a higher position here in Kashmir, and the other, clearly thinking that they could bag the maximum number of seats in the Jammu region. While the PDP is also thinking that they could garner a significant number of seats and perhaps turn out to be the kingmaker. But of course, it is the people that will be giving their mandate tomorrow, like they have done in the last 2 phases. And it will be interesting to watch on the 8th who comes out as the winner from this very, very crucial election in the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
Absolutely, Dibyendu. The contest, like you said, will be interesting and we'll get to know on October 8th. But out of total over 900 candidates in the fray overall for the elections, more than 40% are contesting as independents. You think they'll also play a key role?
Well, Abhishek, there are many seats where the independents could play a key role. But of course, the people here, the voters, in fact, have become smart. They think that the independent candidates would not be able to bring much to the table. What they want here is a clear mandate, is a mandate for a government that could perhaps work for them, bring in investment, development, employment. So, of course, what I personally think talking to people and going around different parts of, the North Kashmir region, which is going to polls tomorrow. There could be, there is, the people have already made up their mind that they are going to choose a particular party, and independents perhaps would not be able to hold much sway, but they could perhaps, be the reason where some of the vote swings happen from one party to the other. But I personally don't think that there will be any major significant, number of independents winning this time around from Jammu and Kashmir.
And you have been speaking with the people of Kashmir. You are in Srinagar now. You were in Gulmarg before. What are they saying? What do they want from the government?
Well, Abhishek, it's very simple. The people, what they're looking for is peace, stability, development, employment, and investment. These are the 5 key words that I have picked up from people, talking to people here in Kashmir. They think that they have left the past behind and they want to move towards, development, towards coming and assimilating into the mainstream and becoming a part of the development goal that the government has set up since 2019 after the abrogation of Article 370. So, of course, they want to walk along the path of the government. They want to walk along the path and hold the hand of the government to support them in the development of Kashmir, because the youth feels that this is what is needed in this region rather than, petty politicking and serving the vested interests of certain political groups here in the valley. So, of course, the people, it is interesting, Abhishek, to note that the youths of Jammu and Kashmir have, have been only talking about development and employment and investment, because that is how they can secure their future and the future of their kids or for that matter, their family in the valley of Jammu and Kashmir, and they want to leave the past behind. So, of course, these are the 5 key things, as I said, Abhishek, that I've picked up after talking to people here in Jammu and Kashmir.
All right, Dibyendu, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Now in Kolkata, West Bengal Junior Doctors Front organized a torch rally across Kolkata on Sunday ahead of hearing on the case in the Supreme Court today. Junior doctors say they have planned a mass rally with complete seizure on October 2nd if they do not get anything fruitful in the Supreme Court hearing. The protesting doctors' remark comes a day after 3 doctors and 3 nurses were assaulted after the death of a patient at the College of Medicine and Sagar Dutt Hospital near Kolkata on September 27th. The doctor criticized the West Bengal government for not taking the security measures seriously. Well, now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Ace Test pilot Air Marshal Amarpreet Singh will take over as a new Indian Air Force Chief on Monday. He is succeeding Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary, who is superannuating after completing his tenure of 3 years. 74-year-old Subramaniam from Kozhikode, Kerala has repaired more than 23,000 chairs and made them reusable again. People also call him Reduce, Reuse and Recycle, that is RRR champion. In the 5-day Sanji Mahotsav, many Indian folk artists showcase their art at Raskhan Samadhi Sthal in Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. For the promotion of Sanji art and ancient folk arts of Braj, Sanji Mahotsav is celebrated across various states of India. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Travis Head stars as Australia beat England 3-2 to seal ODI series win. Indian chess grandmaster D. Gukesh rises to world number 4 in the latest FIDE live rankings. And we'll show you Haka dance by thousands of New Zealanders breaking the Guinness World Record.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. A port strike on the US East Coast and Gulf of Mexico will go ahead starting Tuesday. The International Longshore Men's Association Union said on Sunday, signaling action that could cause delays and stall supply chains. The United States Maritime Alliance, known as USMX, represents employers of the East and Gulf Coast longshore industry and has been accused of wage subjugation. No negotiations were taking place Sunday and none are currently planned before the midnight Monday deadline. Earlier on Sunday, President Joe Biden said he did not intend to intervene to prevent a walkout if dock workers fail to secure a new contract by October 1st deadline. The union said previously the strike would not impact military cargo shipments or cruise ship traffic. And Asia share markets turned hesitant on Monday as strife in Middle East offset more stimulus measures in China. The Nikkei led the early action with a dive of 4.1% as investors anxiously waited for more direction from new Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, who has been critical of Bank of Japan's easy policies in the past. The Shanghai Composite rose 4.4%. Over in China, the central bank said it would tell banks to lower mortgage rates for existing home loans by the end of October, likely by 50 basis points on average. That follows a barrage of monetary, fiscal and liquidity support measures announced last week in Beijing's biggest stimulus package since the pandemic. The week is packed with major U.S. economic data, including a payrolls report that could decide whether the Federal Reserve delivers another outsized rate cut in November. Oil prices crept higher at tensions in the Middle East offset concerns about possible increased supply from Saudi Arabia. Brent crude surpassed $72 a barrel. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. Travis Head start with both bat and ball as world champions Australia beat England by 49 runs in a rain-marred fifth and final ODI at Bristol on Sunday to complete a 3-2 series win. England was set for a huge total when opener Ben Duckett and informed captain Harry Brooks shared a third wicket stand of 132 in 98 balls. However, after 202 for 2, slow bowling proved England's undoing as they lost 8 wickets for another 107 runs. England were dismissed for 309 with part-time spinner Travis Head taking an ODI best 4 for 28. Meanwhile, for Australia, Matthew Short and Head made a blistering start to the chase with an opening stand of 78, and when rain stopped play, Australia were 165 for 2 after 20.4 overs, well ahead of the target required under the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method. Spain's Carlos Alcaraz entered into the quarterfinals of the China Open on Sunday with a comfortable 6-1, 6-2 victory over talented Greek Spur. In the process, the four-time Grand Slam champion also brought up his 200th tour-level win. Alcaraz was in a dominant position in Beijing winning 100% of his first serve points in the 57-minute demolition. The world number 3 will play Karen Khachanov in the last 8 after the Russian defeated Francisco Cerundolo 7-6, 7-6. Football now. Tottenham Hotspur defeated 10-man Manchester United 3-0 in the Premier League on Sunday with goals from Brennan Johnson, Dejan Kulusevski and Dominic Solanke. After captain Bruno Fernandes was sent off in the 42nd minute for a high challenge, United struggled. Meanwhile, Spurs took the lead early when Mickey van der Weyden set up Johnson for an easy tap-in. They doubled their lead shortly after half-time when Dejan Kulusevski scored with a clever finish. Solanke sealed the victory in the 77th minute, tapping in a header from a corner. With this victory, Tottenham moved to 8th in the table with 10 points, while United remained in 12th with 7 points. An Indian Grandmaster D. Gukesh rose to world number 4 in the latest FIDE live rankings on Sunday. Gukesh replaced his chess Olympiad teammate Arjun Erigaisi as the highest rated Indian chess player in the live rankings. Arjun, who was previously the top-ranked Indian, was pushed 2 places down to the 5th spot in the live rankings after he lost to Turkey's Edis Gurel in the German Bundesliga 2024-2025. Meanwhile, Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura and Fabiano Caruana are ahead of Gukesh. 18-year-old Gukesh had a brilliant run at the Chess Olympiad and will face Ding Liren at the World Chess Championship that will take place in the Singapore between 25th November and 13 December 2024. And thousands of New Zealanders have broken the Guinness World Record for the most people performing a haka on Sunday in Auckland. New Zealanders turned out in force to Eden Park to participate in the event and take the record back from France, who broke it a decade ago in 2014. The haka is a Maori ceremonial war dance and is often performed by a group. It is popularly performed by New Zealand rugby teams before the start of a match.
You are. Can I get a production room? Now you guys, best haka selfie.
You may know Brian. Let's bring Brian to the stage for a second.
Brian.
Officially amazing.
Thank you so much.
Oh, ho, ho.
All right, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.